have no idea if this is going to work. I did not test the mic, but it is story time. So I get to the airport at LAX last Wednesday, and it's 3 a.m. when I arrive. And so I'm like sleeping on the ground at the airport terminal for United. And then eventually they start calling boarding group 1, 2, 3, 4. So I walk up and I wait for 6. But it's been a while since they called 5, so I was confused if they had called 6 yet. So I asked the gentleman in front of me, I said, are they boarding group 6 yet? And he says, I have no idea. I'm like, okay, whatever. Eventually I get on the plane and I end up sitting next to that guy. And luckily there was the middle. No one was sitting in the middle. So he had the aisle and I had the window seat. And so we were both able to sleep comfortably since it was a very early flight. We were both just conked out the whole time. And so we get to the layover in Houston, Texas, where I'm going to meet up with my boyfriend. And my boyfriend videos me getting off the plane. And of course the guy, because he was sitting next to me, was in the video in front of me. I hug my boyfriend, whatever. And we walk to our next gate together, me and my boyfriend, which was on the other side of the airport. And so we get there really fast with a few minutes to spare to get on the plane. And I look over and I see the guy that was sitting next to me, and he like shyly waves at me. And I was like, oh my God, John, that's the guy that was sitting next to me on the plane. He's very nice. We didn't speak a word to each other, but that was very nice. I was like, we took a nap together. And so he was very friendly. He waved to me. And so then we all get on the plane. Turns out he's going to Tulum as well. And he does not sit next to us, but me and my boyfriend are sitting separately, which is very sad. So we get off the plane and we're at the airport and we're going to find a bus. And while we're in line to ask the lady questions about the bus, we see the guy again. And he goes, oh, I'm following you guys. And I'm like, I know, we keep running into each other. So me and my boyfriend get on the bus, and then sure enough, that guy comes on the bus and sits next to us, and we're like, okay, we have to talk to him. So we chat him up. His name's David. We hear his life story. We ask him questions about Tulum. He lives here some of the time. Well, he visits here like 4 times a year, but he like owns a property here. And so we were talking with him about it, and he had 2 kids that were me and my boyfriend's age, and he was just very, very nice and friendly. And so we exchanged numbers in case we have any questions about Tulum or whatnot. And then we get to the bus terminal, we get off, and we wave goodbye. And then the next night, we like settle into a hotel. We stay in for the night since we're jet lagged. And then the next night, we are out on the town, and sure enough, we run into David. And we also bonded with him because his parents were born in Chicago, or they lived in Chicago. Maybe they lived in Chicago, but they were born in Mexico City, because then they moved back to Mexico City, and that's where he was born. But he also obviously lives in LA because we both got on the flight at LAX. And it's also leaving on this coming Wednesday, so we both stayed a week in Tulum, except he is on a flight like 2 hours after ours. Anyway, we see him again, and he's with his girlfriend. He translates, oh, I met these amigos on the plane, and he says, oh, this is my girlfriend. and he goes, "You have to come over. Um, we keep meeting. You have to come over and see my like condo situation." And we're like, "Yeah, definitely. Maybe on Sunday." He's like, "Yeah, Sunday's good because Saturday is Valentine's Day," and he was going to a football game a couple miles north of here. So we planned to meet up on Sunday, which was yesterday. So we settle into our second Airbnb, and we look at how far he is, and he's like a 5-minute bike ride away. Like, Tulum's not that big, which makes sense because our new Airbnb is in like a nicer, newer area, and his apartment condos seemed very, very nice. So we go to his place. He shows us his place. He has one of these little like pools in his little condo. Then he takes us up to his infinity pool, and he was so nice. He gave us water, and like he's like, "There's a vending machine. Here's some towels." Got us some towels, and we just got to swim in his infinity pool and his hot tub, and it was gorgeous. And it looked over the jungle. And then afterwards, my boyfriend invited him to dinner. So me and my boyfriend biked to his condo, and so we were gonna bike to dinner, which was another like 5-minute bike ride away to like the little area restaurants, like the commercial area they call it. And so we invited him to dinner, and he mentioned pizza earlier, so we're like, "Yeah, we gotta get pizza," and it was delicious, by the way. But we started walking, and I remember David mentioned he has like a bad knee. He's 62, by the way. So I mentioned he has like a bad knee recently. He's very fit. He said he's just went too hard because he's a soccer ref. Went too hard reffing. And so I see that he's like limping a little bit. And I was like, "Oh my God, like, do you think this bike will help? Like, you bike and I'll walk." But then my boyfriend was like, "No, I'll walk," which ended up being like a brisk jog while me and David biked. And David was like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, this makes it so much easier. It's just less, the pressure on the leg, on the knee." So we went on the bike, we get to dinner, and of course he speaks perfect Spanish. So he's talking with the waiter, and we're all laughing and telling stories, and it's just a beautiful time. And I love traveling for this reason. I love meeting people. I love connecting with people and hearing their stories. And this is the story on how I met David. I hope you enjoyed.